What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So today I'm going to show you a town hall where Representative Larson was asked the question, how soon or when are we going to be able to see the Social Security 2100 Act implemented? So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you get notified anytime we post a video. We do daily videos here, so by clicking the bell notification and clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. And just a reminder, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. And one more way to support us is by joining our membership. You'll get customized emojis as well as we do private live streams. So join us. Okay, so I want to talk about one thing before we get to this video clip. And I started a petition. Okay, I started a change.org petition. And so far, we've been doing really well. So we're already up to 181 signatures. And so the next goal is 200, but we're going to continue. So hopefully we'll be able to get into the thousands, maybe 100,000s. I don't know how far this is going to go, but so far it's doing really well. And so I would ask you guys to support. And all you need to do is to sign the petition. There's a lower thirds on the screen. It has a little barcode there. If you put your phone up to it, so you turn your camera on, put your phone up to it, it will give you the link. I will also have the link in the comment section. It'll be pinned at the very top. So just click on that link and then you can go over and sign the petition. And you can also, I've never used change.org before, but you can also leave a video. And I highly encourage you to leave videos because I will be showing some of these videos in future videos that I do, just showing the support for an increase for Social Security benefits. So this petition hopefully will take off. And the reason why we're doing this is I want to get the word out. I'd like to get as many signatures as possible because I would like to write a letter and send that letter to the president. I've already sent a letter to the president asking him how he feels about an increase for Social Security benefits. I've sent a letter to former President Trump asking him how he feels about an increase for Social Security. But if we have signatures, if we have signatures in the thousands, in the 100,000s, if we get it up to 1 million, that shows a lot of support for an increase for Social Security benefits. And I'd like to use that as well when I write another letter and send it to the president, the former president, whoever's running for office. I think this would be very beneficial, as well as you guys can revert back to this change.org petition and write a letter and send it to the representative in your district, as well as your senators in the state, as well as the president. And if they start getting all of these letters and they see that there's huge support for an increase for Social Security benefits, maybe that will have some sway when it comes to moving forward with legislation. Okay, so the question was asked to Representative Larson. He did a town hall just last week, and he was asked that question, when are they going to implement this? And you guys ask me all the time. In the comments, every time I post a video, when is this going to happen? Some people say, when is it going to happen? Some people say it's never going to happen. But because he was asked this question, and because this question is asked of me all the time, I thought I would play this portion of the clip so you guys can see how he responds to when this will be implemented. So here we go.
Yes, ma'am.
How soon will this be enacted?
The question is, how soon will this be enacted? As soon as we can get a vote. So, now this is another one of my pet peeves, but bear with me. People say, well, isn't that what you're elected to do? Vote? Yes. So I say, why hasn't this bill voted? And you'll hear economists and other people say, oh, it's the third rail. You know what that means? It's like you can't touch that rail or you'll be electrocuted or whatever. I said, how is that a third rail that you're required to vote? They said, oh, well, people are afraid to vote on it because it'll raise people's taxes. In all the polling data that has been done for the last decade, when individuals are polled, and I'm not talking about lifting the cap on people over 400,000, I'm saying, what if you had to pay in more yourself individually, but in return you got back all these benefits and everything was enhanced? By over 60%, they all say we're for that. when you poll them on lifting the cap on people over 400,000, I think it's close to 90% of all Democrats, 80+% of all independents, and 68% of all Republicans believe, yeah, this is the right thing to do. We need these benefits. So, Congress has not voted. And until it votes, now there are other bills in the Senate. Vote on any bill, because any bill that contains Social Security in it is amendable, which is why they wanted the double secret probation committee so that it could not be amended. That simply is unfair. So we're hopeful that the Senate is going to bring up a bill, because by one vote, although they have something called the cloture vote, and Republicans have already threatened that they would filibuster, for example, Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders' bill on Social Security. So, and in the House, they haven't brought up, if they bring up any kind of Social Security bill, we will amend it to put that here. If there's a vote, you remember a guy named Mark Meadows? Right, now Mark Meadows was the founder of the Freedom Caucus on the Republican side. I can remember dealing with him and sitting down and going over what this bill does, etc. He says, hey, John, you don't have to convince me. He says, I see the impact, that he was from rural North Carolina, that this would have on my district. He says, if this bill comes to the floor, people are going to vote for this bill, because they know it's in their best interest for the people they're sworn to serve. And it's paid for. It doesn't do a single thing to the national debt or the deficit, because it's paid for. So what we need, outside of informing people, is get them to agitate. Now, please feel free to call your representative, but people belong to associations and groups and everybody else, and also to call other members of Congress. More often than not, members of Congress in the House and the Senate, they go, well, how many people have we heard from on this issue? And you can't just, everyone says, well, why have you been at this so long and nothing is saying? He says, what, what's the alternative? Give up? That's right. To not go back at it, to not keep trying? No, it's to present it with more logic and more rationale and say, this is what American people need. But the thing that's probably going to drive it the most, 10,000 baby boomers a day becoming eligible and saying, why aren't you guys voting? And so I said, well, if they vote, your bill goes down. I said, that's democracy. I said, I'll take my chance. Let's put that bill out there, and let's have an up or down vote. What could be more simpler than that? And if you disagree with it, or you've got a better idea, I mean, that's how the system's supposed to work. If you got a better idea, put it forward. Amend it. Put it forward. Maybe it'll be adopted. Maybe it'll be combined. Everyone said, yeah, why can't Congress come together and do that? The Senate has something they call a cloture vote, where a person can sit in their room, never even go to the floor. This isn't Mr. Smith goes to Washington, where Jimmy Stewart stands up and argues to the United States Senate on behalf of a filibuster for an issue that he believed in. You had to go to the floor, you had to make your case and plead it. Hopefully you'd have other people that would relieve you, but you couldn't leave that floor. Now you don't even have to go to the floor and say, I call a cloture vote, which means this. You have to have 60 votes to take a bill up. Now, where in the Constitution does it say that you have to have 60 votes to take up a bill? Short answer, and you all know it, is nowhere. This is a Senate rule that needs to be changed. And that's one thing everybody should be calling in about, to make sure both our United States senators are opposed to the cloture vote. Because they know it's not democratic and things don't get taken up. And so even though Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders have a bill, and they have 51 Democrats, it falls under cloture, and the Republicans are able to block it from coming to the floor. Even when you have a president. Now, I'm proud that the president is turning the heat up on Social Security. He needs to do it more. And Democrats need to talk about when we have 70 million fellow Americans that are on a program that is the lifeline and sustains that large number of people, we've got to make sure that we're doing the right thing on behalf of the American people.
Okay, so that was Representative Larson trying to answer that question, a very difficult question to answer because he's one congressman and you have 435 representatives, and then you have an additional 100 senators. And so it's a very hard question to address. How do you address that? Because you don't know what these other Congress people are going to do. But you heard that he was talking about we as the American people, we need to agitate. We need to get out there. And that's why we have the change.org petition. That's why I'm sending letters to Congress people, because we need to agitate. We need to get out there and let them know, hey, this is an important issue. This needs to be addressed. We want to vote. Now, he was also talking about in the Senate, and I was telling you guys this, when it comes to the Senate, that's probably the easiest way to actually get something going when it comes to Social Security reform, because you have both Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders' plan in the Senate right now. They could vote on that. And you have Leader Schumer who could bring it to the floor. But the only problem, and he talked about this, the cloture vote. The cloture vote, they're going to need 60 votes. That means you're going to need some Republicans to support this in order for it to move forward. And that's just to get to the vote. And so, Representative Larson was talking about, this is a rule. This is not in the Constitution. This is just a rule that the Senate has saying that you need 60 votes in order to move any legislation to a vote. And so obviously that would be an uphill hurdle. You don't need just a majority. In the House, all you need is a majority. You need 218 votes in the House. But when it comes to the Senate, you need 60 votes. And so that's where the problem is. But Leader Schumer can still bring it to the floor. And I think it would be hard if you bring something to the floor, like Bernie Sanders' plan that has a $200 raise for Social Security, or even if they brought a plan for Social Security reform, it would be hard for senators to vote against that right now. I just think it would be hard for them to do that because they know that people are struggling. They know that we need to reform Social Security because they know what the outcome is going to look like in 9 years if we don't reform Social Security. So I would just hope that maybe sometime in the very near future, we will see them move forward in the Senate with legislation to reform Social Security. Now, what Representative Larson also said is he said they can amend whatever they bring to the floor. So let's say the Senate brings something to the floor and they do get some support from Republicans and they're able to get the 60 votes that they need so they can bypass this whole cloture and then move in and actually vote on the bill, pass the bill in the Senate, and then send it to the House. Now, what the House can do is they can amend that bill. And so Representative Larson, Social Security 2100 Act, they can put some of those pieces of legislation in this bill. And so it's not just going to be all of the Social Security 2100 or all of Senator Bernie Sanders' plan or all of whatever reform they come up with. They're going to take bits and pieces. And that's generally the way it works when it comes to these different bills. But we need to get it going. And in the House right now, there's a lot of chaos. It'll be very hard to pass something in the House, but in the House, they do have what they call a discharge petition, which means that if they can get the majority support as far as votes, then they can bring something to the floor without the Speaker physically bringing it to the floor, because Speaker Johnson is probably not going to bring Social Security reform to the floor. But if they have a discharge petition, that would mean that you have some support from Republicans, you have some support from Democrats, you get over that 218 votes, and then you can bring it to the floor without the speaker. So that's another method that they can use, but they're still going to need to get support from Republicans. And that's what it comes down to. Representative Larson's plan, the Social Security 2100 Act, he has support from Democrats. I think he said 200 lawmakers support that in the House right now. And so they need 18 more lawmakers to come on board in the House in order to move this legislation forward. So we're going to have to see where it goes, but I just thought it was interesting because you guys always ask me that question, and I tell you the same thing. Look, we need to get out there. We need to let these politicians know that this is something that needs to happen, and he's saying pretty much the same thing. We need to get out there. If the public sees, and there's one thing that I said, I'm not going to send letters to different representatives because I'm outside of their district, and so they're not going to respond to me. But what I didn't think about, and he mentioned this, the fact that these representatives, they'll go and they'll ask their staff, how many people are sending us letters about Social Security reform, an increase for Social Security benefits? How many people are sending letters? And then their staff will say, we're getting a lot of letters that are coming in. So even though I'm not in these districts, I can still send letters out to some of these different lawmakers because they're going to get the letter and they're going to see that it's important, and they're going to get letters from a lot of different people, and they're going to see that, hey, we need to address this because we have a lot of people talking about this, a lot of people saying the same thing. So I think what I will start doing is sending some letters out to some of these questionable lawmakers where I don't know exactly how they feel about Social Security reform. I don't know if they're in favor of an increase for Social Security. And so I'm going to send letters out to some of these politicians to see how they respond, or just at least have it on their table so they'll see, okay, we have people that are sending letters about an increase to Social Security benefits. Okay, so that's all I have for this video. Make sure you go to change.org, click on that link, go to change.org, and go ahead and join the petition, sign the petition. And if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.